Hello and welcome along to the second episode, our new show, the Double Pivot, where in amongst all the madness and the uncertainty in this transfer window, we hope to bring a wee bit of fun and serenity and laughter. And tonight, for the Double Pivot, I'm joined by the best pairing since Sergio Busquets and Dble Alonso in that position in the field. It's Franny and Jed. How we doing, boys?
Fine, Ross. You'll need to start taking a drug test coming away with comments like that, right enough.
Well, I was trying to be as nice as I possibly could to you. That'll probably be the last comment you'll get. Okay. Listen, we'll just get right into it. First of all, I want to say welcome along to all the viewers. I don't know if there's any comments coming in already, Franny, is there?
I'd bring them up. I realised you can't do two things at once, Ross.
I didn't actually notice, sorry. I was too busy looking at Jed when he'd said what he'd said. I do apologise. So welcome along to everybody in the comments. And as I say, it's the new show, the Double Pivot. So it's a show with a bit of a difference. Obviously, we do our Monday and Friday shows, which are, well, as they've pretty much always been for a long while. Guys who watch all the time will know. And we're just going to sort of, the middle of the week, a bit more relaxed and try and just have a wee bit of a chill out and a bit of a laugh. But I want to start, firstly, just to get everybody involved. I'm going to do a football trivia question. But the way I want to do it is, obviously, with the comments and stuff like that, it's a bit of thing. My Franny wants to take part in it as well. So it's a question, a football-related question. It has 6 answers. You can have a think about it throughout the podcast, but I'll prompt you near the end of the podcast when I would like you to put your answers into the comments, so that then at the end of the podcast, when I do the answer reveal, Franny can easily access the comments and bring them up, and everybody who's sort of got the question right or got maybe 4 or 5 out of 6, we can obviously see how well everybody has done. But the question itself is, can you name the 6 German players who have won English Premier League winners' medals? Now, as I say, we'll do the thing towards the end, but initial thoughts, Jed, is there anything that comes, just one answer that comes to mind straight away?
No.
No. Franny?
I'll need to think about it.
Michael Ballack?
You never know, kid. You never know. Listen, that's the question anyway. There's 6 answers. Now, there's a wee bit of discrepancy, so I'm just going to highlight that one of the answers that people might think is right is Stefan Ortega, who is like second or third choice keeper at Man City. Now, he got a Premier League medal last year, but he didn't actually. He shouldn't have officially got one, because I think you have to play 5 games and he hadn't done that. But there was enough medals and that he got one. But officially, evening panel. Officially, he doesn't have one. So he doesn't count. But that's the question. We'll see how we go with that.
I've had total brain freeze on it already. So
well, you've plenty of time to think about it, Jed. Plenty of time to think about it. You can have a wee think about it now, because the next thing I want to move on to is something that Gavin has brought to the show, and I really like it. I think, listen, I've known Franny for a long time, but probably these questions that he answers. So I'm going to do the quickfire questions that Gavin does. But even I'll probably be surprised with some of Franny's answers here. So, Jed, you can have a think about that question. No Googling. And I hope nobody in the comments is going to Google, because that just ruins the full facade of the whole show. But Franny, is it, you know the premise, quick fire questions, just whatever comes to mind first. So we'll start off, first Celtic memory.
It probably wasn't a great one in the sense that I can remember going to the football sort of, it would have been maybe mid to late 90s, to be honest, Ross. And there wasn't many good games there, but it was just my dad used to take me to the game because it was easy you could just sneak under the turnstiles then. He would pay and I would sneak under, so you could get it for nothing. So that was kind of my earliest memories, and most of the games you got beat, so that's probably my earliest memories.
Aye, listen, I'm similar. Well, I mean, when I done that question, my earliest memory was Celtic getting beat. I said to Gavin, it was just the way it was then. They didn't always get beat, but they lost a lot of games. But favourite movie?
John Q. I'm going John Q, mate.
It's a good choice. That is.
I mean, I'm not, as you know, I'm
right
not
up
a movie buff. So
no, you aren't. But that is a good choice. That's high on my list. That film. Greatest Celtic captain in your lifetime?
Just generational. It'd have to be Scott Brown, mate.
Scott Brown. Can't argue with that. Lowest point as a Celtic supporter?
The Motherwell when Scott McDonald scored 2 goals. That was
actually you were going to say that. Oh my God, me and you didn't speak to each other for about 4 hours.
I know.
It's just unbelievable.
£100 that day too.
Aye. Soft spot for anyone except Celtic, any other club?
Arsenal. I like Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Aye. I knew that. Jed's no doubt with that. I'm Arsenal as well.
I don't like their manager at the moment, so that's the only reason.
That's fair enough.
Jed, I mean, it's a wee bit glory hunting, but it was when the parents got Sky and Arsenal, kind of Wenger kind of came in about that time and started winning things. So it was, I suppose I could maybe argue a bit of glory hunting.
Aye, a bit of that Henry era. That Henry, he was my favourite player growing up. But where was that? Opposition player you love to hate?
See, I don't know if I'm understanding this properly. Like, I hate it, Nacho Nova, but is it meant to be a player that I like?
Well, my take on it is a player that you basically hated for another team and you loved to hate them.
Novo.
Aye.
I despise the guy, man.
Neil Lennon, hero or villain?
Oh, hero, mate. It's got to be a hero. Didn't end well, maybe, but I think in reflection.
Nah, I mean, I would agree with that. One historic Celtic player to complement the current Celtic team, i.e. not Jota.
Well, Kieran Tierney.
That's a very good choice, Franny, to be fair. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do our current board run our club?
That's a dangerous question. I think
Zero.
I'm trying to remember if it's that. I think it's a business. You can't argue with that. It's as a business to run it well, but as a football club, I would go. I think it was Jed said 4 or 5 last week. I think I would have to agree with that.
Fair enough. In a game of life or death, who would you play, Brown or McGregor?
I mean, I would go Brown, but it kind of goes against everything I say when I bring McGregor up. Because I say he's like the best player in the league by a country mile, could play at the very top level. But Brown, I think, just had it in him to just drag a get. Like, he knew what to do at the right time and stuff. He could just seem to get the crowd on his side at the right time. So I'd have to say Brown, mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, I can't argue with that. Cal McGregor, as you say, as a player, he's got more ability than Scott Brown, but as a guy that's just going to drag you for nothing. Listen, they're both brilliant. I can't separate them, really. I don't want to. And finally, which manager played the best brand of football at Celtic in your lifetime?
I mean, I was a bit too young for Tommy Burns. I can remember it being decent, but I would have to go with Postecoglou. It's probably a wee bit of recency bias. I've seen a lot more football also with Postecoglou, but I would think it'd be a toss-up between him and Tommy Burns, and just straight the amount that I've probably seen would have to be Postecoglou, mate.
Aye, I mean, that would probably get my vote, to be fair. Postecoglou. Tommy Burns, as you say, he played amazing football, but albeit Tommy Burns came up against a better Rangers side.
Aye.
Ange Postecoglou's, however you want to dress it up, it was winning football that won trophies. So that's why it would get the nod for me. But right, well, that's that. Everybody's got to know you a wee bit better, Franny. We'll move on to probably section of the show that everybody's mostly here for, and that is transfer rumours, transfer activity. Jed, I'll come to you first. For all the world, it looks like we're getting this Adam Ida for Norwich, a forward for Norwich, on loan. He's 6'3". He's got 12 goals in 99 appearances, and he's got 3 goals in 22 appearances for the Republic of Ireland. For me, it's not a guy that's going to like be the first choice before Kyogo. I think it's a guy that's been brought in to help us along the way in this title push. It's a position that quite a lot of people have wanted filled. Obviously, people wanted it to be a more permanent fixture, but maybe they couldn't get that, and this is the guy who's coming in to help us along the way to try and get us to the league title. But again, it's a different type of guy in terms of his height and stuff like that. It gives us a different option to maybe go longer, mix up the player a bit. But what's your initial thoughts on that imminent incoming for Celtic?
Well, again, I think with the vast majority is, and I know nothing about him. I've done a wee bit of, obviously, digging to see what he's like. The video clips that I've seen him, he seems quite two-footed. Yeah, we've got that height, but is it really a Brendan Rodgers signing? Seems like by me. I mean, that's the guy could turn around and be brilliant for us, but we just don't know. I sent you the clip earlier of at the training field today, but there's still nothing came through to say he's signed yet. So I really don't know what the problem is. I really don't. Really disappointed with the whole transfer window. And I just hope, if the boy does sign, we've got to give him a chance. It's not his fault. He will get the full support. But I just think we expected a lot better than this. But you never know. This guy could be phenomenal. But I'm also hearing as well, if we do get him, it's a loan. It's not a loan to buy option, which worked for us. I mean, I said earlier, a few weeks ago, I was quite keen on the club getting some loan to buys because that's worked well for us in the past. So this is just to get us over the line, I think. Or it gives a lot
listen, I would agree with that. I think it's a loan. I sort of touched on that. It is one to help us in the last the second half of the season, if you like, just to give us that other option. We needed another striker, in my opinion. I think most people's opinion, we need another striker. I totally agree with you, Jed. The guy will receive our full batting. Is he the levelly player that most people wanted Celtic to bring in? Absolutely not. Could he become that levelly player in the second half of the season? It remains to be seen. But listen, I'm just glad that we've got another striker in, because Kyogo could get injured at any moment. And if he gets injured this weekend and owes away, when we're up shit creek without a paddle in terms of options as a striker. So for me, it looks like it could smack of desperation, but it's difficult to say whether it is or not, because we don't know how long Celtic have been tracking this guy, and maybe they can't afford to buy him outright because you know what the money's like down there in terms of fees. But Franny, just coming to you on that guy, your initial thoughts on that possible, well, almost inevitable transfer.
I think a wee bit it is desperation, Ross, but I could be sort of going by what you read on Twitter and stuff. You just don't know how true that is. That apparently Celtics came in for him pretty late. There was other teams after him, and as soon as Celtic came in late, Celtic was his only option. So, or the only move that he wanted. Look, I'm with Jed and yourself. I'll get my full back, and I really hope he stays off social media for his own sake when he gets announced, because I think he's got to be really unfortunate that it's not going to go down well. I mean, if we are honest, we're not really got to know. We didn't know many guys at Celtic sign, in fairness. But I just think a lot of fans are upset, annoyed, pissed off quality you want with this transfer window. Brendan Rodgers obviously said coming up to the window like November time, I want 4 guys in. It's easier said than done to get the 4 guys in. I think it's just the fact that it seems to have been dragging on, and we were apparently offered Sidney Van Hooijdonk, if you believe what this Mark Hendry and Anthony Joseph have said on Twitter. We've knocked that back, and we're actually taking the guy that is replacing, Sidney Van Hooijdonk's replacing the guy that we're now taking. The guy could be a good player. I read a wee bit about Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton said he has got a lot of talent. He's just kind of lost his way a wee bit. And Brendan Rodgers, as we know, is good for maybe bringing up players that have maybe just lost their way, done it with Sinclair and stuff. So he maybe come up here and he might light it up. But I don't think he, as Chris Sutton says as well, he'll probably not score 20 goals. I mean, 20 goals in half a season is a lot, but he's probably not going to come up and bang the goals in. But if he comes up and gets 10 goals, that could be massive at the end of the day. I think they'll want to buy. That for me is, it does. I'm looking at that as we maybe tried to get a number 1 target and couldn't get that person in. So we've maybe not really got any interest in keeping this guy any more than the 6 months. It is just like you touched on, to get us over the line. And then we've maybe got assurances, or as good as assurances you get, that Brendan Rodgers will get his number 1 target in the summer. Because that's, again, Twitter, and I just fall for it all the time, that kid's gardener one, the Danish boy, apparently we'll still try to get him. And maybe they just thought, right, we'll just keep going, and it's just really got nowhere. And that's where they thought, well, we can get this boy for Norwich. It looks like we might get the Danish boy, or I say it looks like, maybe we got assurances that you'll be able to get him in the summer. It's just now you can't get him, which you kind of understand. It is a hard window, I think, January to deal in. It's just, it's got to be a bit underwhelming, unless you pull a couple of things out the hat tomorrow. But I just, as I say, I'll give the guys full support. It might come up, and I hope it does light up. It does. It's a total different option we've got going by what you read up about him anyway, as much as we can, and look at videos. But I just, for his own sake, I would stay off Twitter and things like that when it gets announced, because I think folk will just be going on in it, and it's unfortunate for the boy, I think.
I mean, they will. But what you've said there, in terms of bringing him in, and then maybe Rodgers has had assurances that you can get his sort of number 1 choice in the summer. I mean, that's the hope. Whether that is the case remains to be seen. You just don't know. But just in terms of the guy's stature and stuff like that, Jed, listen, we've touched upon that there's no way that he's going to come in and be the number 1 choice before Kyogo. But do you not think that I mean, I've not really seen much of the guy, but in terms of his stature, do you think that he's sort of more in a sort of mould as to what you would imagine a Rodgers striker, he would prefer his striker to look like, to be, in terms of stature and stuff like that?
I mean, Ross, like I said, I tried to watch some video clips of him tonight, and for 6'4", the video clips that I seen was more the ball at his feet. So he does seem quite 2-footed, but that sort of size surely has got to bring in a bit of physicality. There was no clips of him holding the ball up for people running on. I've never seen any of that. So I find it so difficult. I don't want to judge the guy because I've not really seen him. I've not seen him, and I know.
Aye.
I mean, let's be honest, if he goes and bloody scores the winner, if we sign him, he scores the winner on Saturday. You know, that's the sort of thing that will help him. The fans will then, they'll adore him then. Get the winning goal on Saturday up at Aberdeen.
I think that's massive.
Yeah.
Sorry, what you got to say?
When Gary Hooper came up from Scunthorpe, we knew nothing about him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a Gary Hooper because I really don't know. You just hope that when he's called upon, that he does a job. As Franny said, if he can get 10 goals, that's not a bad return. But when you look at the many games he's played, he's not a prolific goal scorer. But if he was a prolific goal scorer, he'd be away somewhere else for millions of pounds.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. But I think I was going to say there that he probably has to hit the ground running to give himself the best chance. But then at the same time, it's like he's not going to be starting games, I wouldn't think. So it's difficult for him to hit the ground running. He's just a guy, as we say, it's coming in to help along the way. But Franny, in terms of his stature and stuff like that, do you think he looks more like a Rodgers striker? I'm not comparing him to these guys, but in terms of you look at like Edward and Dble, stuff like that, does he look more of that mould that Rodgers likes?
It does, and I think it was like Paul McFarlane made a good point about way that being that mould. I know Jed was saying he's no like a big. It does look like it brings physicality, but maybe gives us that option to cross balls in, because you do see Kyle has starved
agree with that.
The service and stuff, and he's never really got to win a header. Kyle, not many times if you try and just whip it in. I feel like. Because it was obviously at the game with Jed and Saturday, and you actually notice it a wee bit more the amount of runs that Kyle makes, and then it felt like after about 60, 70 minutes, he just couldn't be bothered making them anymore. Because it was like, well, what's the point? And then, in fairness to like guys like Abada and Palmer, and then Kuhn, they got into good positions, but they were just dinking crosses over, and Kyle's never got to win them at the end of the day. So maybe this guy can do that, and like you say, maybe upset him, gives you a chance maybe to go two up front at times, maybe when you're chasing a game.
That's a Giacomakis type signing there.
It looks, it does look that type of, but it does look a big towering striker that can look after himself. It does look like he's got a bit about him, so you just hope it does just give you that different option up front. Ross. It certainly doesn't look in the mould of Kyle, but like we're saying, we don't really know the guy. We don't really know the guy, but he looks like he's got a wee bit of pace in that, and so a wee bit of pace and power, which is always good, I suppose.
Aye. Well, I'm just looking at my slipper there. I got them for Christmas, and it's just split. Can't believe it, man. They'll be going back to the bloody shop, by the way. I hope our new signing doesn't last as little time as my slippers just have. But no, listen. Well, time will tell on the guy. We have to give him a chance. We'll see what happens. He's not even officially in the door yet, but let's hope he is. What's this? Rodgers is a yes man to the board. Norwich reject. He will never score 12 goals. Reject, sorry. He will never score 12 goals before the season ends. Never. Just offer 3 million for Shankland. Can only try. Listen, I don't think MD expect that's Sheena O'Shea. I don't think MD expects him to score 12 goals. I think if he gets between 6 and 8 between the end of the season, that could be big important goals at different times. But we'll see what Stephen's saying. Stephen told Ada is nothing more than a desperation signing. He's even Norwich first choice.
Is he even Norwich?
It's like he should be not even. He's not even.
I think that's what he's getting at. Listen, Stevens is negative as a fucking minus sign on a battery. So
Franny hit the nail on the head earlier. All the fans at the moment, we are so frustrated. And you try and take a step back. Yeah, since we beat Rangers on the 30th of December, with them and on, and it's not a good place for normally. St Mirren, we won there quite convincingly. We won quite convincingly against Bucky Thistle. And then, we struggled a wee bit on Saturday, but the game should have been finished in the first 20 minutes. And I think it's just all the frustration. I said in my comments on Monday night, the fans, I think, are booing at the board rather than the players. But honestly, for us being top of the league, we are all so negative at the moment, including myself.
I'm all right. Listen, we'll move on for that guy, right? There's a couple of other things, obviously, transfer-wise and stuff, ins and outs, that I want to touch on before we move on. So, it was yourself, Jed. I'll just come back to you. Again, you'd posted in, I just noticed before, I almost missed the start of the podcast, that Turnbull out for 2 million, possibly. Who was it you said he was linked to?
Sky, just before I come up the stair, I had Sky's Sports News on, and they went to breaking news, and they said that Cardiff.
Was it Cardiff?
Yeah, because, and they were saying as well, Turnbull's wanting first team football with obviously the Scotland Euros coming up, so it makes good sense. And as Franny said the other night, he came on on Saturday, and after that performance, I'll drive him down. Fran, you're going to next week.
I've got to take Wales next week.
Furniture then, but I mean,
he looked like he was towing a caravan at a couple of points.
Oh.
Aye, he did, and again, good luck to the guy. If we got a wee bit of money for him, brilliant. Good luck to him.
Well,
squad.
Am I right in saying that his contract's up at the end of the season? So,
6 months.
I mean, if we're going to probably lose him for nothing in the summer. So, listen, to get $2 million for David Turnbull with 6 months left in his contract, it's no bad. If we'd sold him last year, we'd have maybe got a bit more money, but
well, that does, Ross, is allow us to get that £2 million. I'll go more to getting that £100 million in the bank at the both of them.
Right. Once we hit that lovely round figure, that's when we'll start blasting all the cash on $5 million a Yetis again. I can't wait. No, but Franny, just on David Turnbull possibly going out the door, your thoughts on that?
I think it makes sense because I know he has featured a wee bit this season. I think he's one of our top goal scorers as well, but I think he obviously is. I wouldn't say he's not interested, but I think, like Jed said there, he has to look at his international career with this tournament coming up next summer. Even when he was kind of playing regular for Celtic, he was getting into squads, but wasn't really breaking into the first team. So if he's not going to be playing, he's no chance. So it makes sense for him to try and get away. Cardiff are at a good level. I think they're doing all right as well in the Championship. So if he can get down there playing regular first team football, I think we all said at the start of the season, because it was when we were talking about the sort of summer window, we're talking about incomings and outgoings, and Turnbull could be one that I think we all said potentially could leave, just more for his own career, because we just didn't know if he would be a first team player in as such. And I think a lot is alluded to the fact that the Euros coming up, so it was something he had to consider. So I think it makes sense for him to move on, and getting $2 million for a guy that's got 6 months in his contract, it's no bad business at the end of the day.
Aye, and listen, see out with the money for Turnbull himself, for his career and his Scotland career. It's probably better for him if he does move on, because it's a difficult midfield to get into, and he's really struggling to do that. And any time he gets a chance, he's not nailing it down. But aye,
Alistair, you're bang on. I noticed that they're away there as well. So
has he?
Well, they could share a room when they go to away games.
That'll be nice. We could play a computer together on that. That'll be cool. But I'm going to move on to another one, and this is sort of possibly linked. I don't know. I don't think the club have actually came out and confirmed that Carter Vickers is injured, out for the season or whatever. But have you heard anything more than that? I don't think nothing's been confirmed yet. But obviously,
that's a check just before we came on as well.
Aye, I was trying to check as well.
Went on the
checked earlier on.
Celtic Twitter page. There's nothing. Not a thing.
Aye. Well, I mean, that gives me hope that it's just one of the stupid Twitter rumours that they obviously have picked up or ran way off the back of Franny Celtic seemingly stopping Lagerbaa move to Lecce. Listen, draw your own conclusions for that.
Yep. And also as well, Ross, I was saying to Fran just before we come on, the wife was saying earlier that Atati was taken off injured today for Japan.
Aye, aye.
So that's a worry.
Definitely is, aye.
I suppose it's as silly as it might sound, the Hatate one maybe isn't as much of it with Bernardo kind of coming into a bit of form, but obviously after that, if you're letting Turnbull go, you're then maybe putting a lot of pressure on guys like Home. You've obviously let Quad go, which I don't think was any big loss to anybody at the end of the day, but it's maybe looking a wee bit. Maybe that's why McCarthy's deal got rejected as well. Maybe he's been an ace for the last 6 months.
I'll need to go and get a charger for my iPad. It's going a bit.
Aye, no worries, Jed.
But I suppose everybody has got to kind of just jump to conclusions with the fact that it looked like Lagerbaa was out the door, and then the next thing, it's getting blocked by Celtic. I think the official line for Celtic's coming is they're looking for a better package for Celtic, I feel like. And then you're hearing stories that Lagerbaa has come in and said he's desperate to move. He wants to go to Italy, which to an extent I can get, because he's came in 6 months down the line. They're looking to get rid of him. They're actively trying to get rid of him, and suddenly now they want to keep him. It's can't be great for him as a young boy either. And to be honest, I don't think he's done a million things wrong. Like I think he was iffy at Ibrox, but on reflection, go well. I think it was one of his first games, if not his first game. I don't think he'd played many games anyway, and it was a makeshift back four at the end of the day as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he came away for that game with a clean sheet. I think every league game he's played in, I think he's had a clean sheet, and he obviously had that goal against Lazio, sorry. So he's had a bit of a weird Celtic career for the first 6 months, but I think for his sake, I think he needs to go, because it's just I don't know, it's and I think that's why, like I say, I think because Celtic's blocked this move, I think that's why people have jumped to conclusions that maybe CCV's out and maybe out for a period of time. Because if he was only out for a couple of weeks, Stephen Welsh just came in recently and done all right. So if it was just going to be a couple of weeks, you'd maybe let Lagerbaa go, because you've got Stephen Welsh to rely on. Obviously, the Rockies came in and looked a better player. But my worry is the fact that Lagerbaa seems to be not being allowed to leave, means maybe CCV's out for a wee while.
Aye, listen, I'm not want to jump to conclusions on the CCV one. It does point to that, but I don't like to take 2 and 2 and make 5 just yet. But in terms of Lagerbaa himself, if Carter Vickers isn't injured and Celtic have stopped this deal, and you're saying it's maybe for like a better package for the club, I mean, I'm not defending the club, but that's fair enough if they want to get a better deal elsewhere. But I think for me, I don't know what you think, Jed, but I think if it comes to light that Carter Vickers isn't injured, I'd be very surprised if between now and the window closing that Lagerbaa wasn't allowed to leave.
You're right, Ross, but no one actually knows. It's like North Korea. There is nothing getting there came on, there came over there inside the fans, we're getting treated like mushrooms kept in the dark and fed shite. It's
that's a good one, like.
But look, I hope Carter Vickers isn't injured. I mean, it's only been that season, because last season he played basically all the games, and I'm wondering if it's just for the hamstring as he came back too early and just tweaked it again, because he only played 60 minutes in Saturday.
60 minutes.
Because if you remember, we thought, he's maybe just took him off as precaution.
Aye.
But maybe he signalled to them again, guys. I'm feeling it.
Aye. Yeah. Again, this is just speculation. Hopefully, I would imagine that Rodgers will probably do his press conference. Well, it's usually a Thursday, but it's
tomorrow.
Is it definitely tomorrow? Because I just wondered with it being I just wondered with it being the deadline day, whether it would maybe be the Friday. But I'm sure. Listen, I'd rather it was tomorrow, because I would like to get some light shed on that sooner rather than later on the CCV situation, if nothing else.
Franny, to be honest, Rodgers can do a press conference because he isn't making the signings anyway. The board's giving him the signings. That's the problem.
No. Aye. Well,
again,
hopefully we'll find out tomorrow. No, not at all. But we'll find out one way or t'other, the more. But the final guy, another one that is, we've spoke about it. We've probably touched on it a wee bit there. Franny did anyway, in terms of McCarthy. His deal getting blocked for moving out. I don't think he wants to go, Franny. But there's so many variables. Celtic are saying that, what was it they said? They rejected it because wanted more money. I mean, that's just Celtic wanting more money and no wanting to spend money. I'm quite happy to admit that. But listen, I think Celtic are going to find it very difficult to get McCarthy off the books until such times his contract runs out. It's a funny one, the whole situation of the lengthy deal, everything that he got, and he sort of holds the cards and Celtic hold none because he's no featuring at all. It's a baffling one.
Well, for me and Jed were actually talking before he came on, Ross, and I think, like you say, what seems to be going about is Celtic wanted this team to cover more of his wages, and they've apparently said no. So Celtic said, well, you're not taking them. So I just, for me, that just makes absolutely no sense. So it's a guy that clearly they want off the books in a sense because he's not contributing. But I mean, I say it's not fault James McCarthy, obviously to an extent, but he's way out the picture. And I don't see why you just don't get rid of him for 6 months and they cover some of the wages. I don't see what makes sense then keeping hold of him and covering all his wages. I just done it. It just does not make sense for me. Maybe James McCarthy maybe was they want to go because what is he, 31, 32 now? I don't know if he's got young kids or whatever. I really didn't know because I think it was a team in Europe that maybe were after him. Was it a Greek team or something like that?
Greek team. I think it was a Greek team.
So he's maybe not want to go, but like you say, he's maybe on. Well, he'd also wouldn't lose wages money-wise, but just the fact that it seems that Celtic knocked it back because they want that team to cover more of the wages, it's just another thing that, for me, it goes, what is actually going on here?
But Franny,
why cover it all?
And this Norwich one, this guy coming from Norwich, are we going to pay most of his wages, or if he says, no, we're only going to pay 30%?
I didn't. Well, like you said, the start said it was like, why, like, what's it? Why do they want them to take more and say if they say no, well, you're not getting them now, so we'll just cover the rest of his wages? For me, it's a weird one. It's an absolute weird one, the McCarthy. I think he's still got about 18 months left, does he know?
I think so. I've been in that sort of train of thought that maybe the club are protecting McCarthy by saying, like, we want X amount or whatever and want you to pay more of the wages or all of the wages or whatever it is. When in fact it might be that McCarthy said, look, I'm not wanting to go to Greece, I'm not wanting to up sticks for 6 months and leave my family for 6 months, my young family. He's not going to move his family for 6 months, so to be away from your family for 6 months when you're sitting just getting paid nicely at the twilight of your career, I don't think it makes sense. If I was him, I don't think I'd be wanting, well, I don't know, it's difficult to say because I mean, Greek football isn't amazing, but you've got a wee 6 months in the weather, nice weather, and you're, I don't know, you kick a ball for a wee while, but he's done it all his life, so maybe he just wants to wind down and sit in not even a bench and a stand. But I don't know. We'll see what happens between now and the close of play on Thursday night, tomorrow night. But I'm sure we'll speak more on that on Friday as well. So we'll park that to now and try and bring the mood up slightly, possibly, maybe. But the next segment of the show is, we've never really done this before, so we're going to try it out. My idea was to get, obviously, the viewers to send in the comments questions for us guys that they want to ask any of us, and it doesn't have to be only Celtic, it can be anything football related. I sort of relayed it to Stephen and the bit cross wires. So what Stephen's done the day is he's actually messaged some guys that watch the show and they've sent questions to Stephen that he's forwarded on to me. So I'll read them out, but by all means, if any is and who want to ask a question haven't already today sent a question to Stephen, put some in the comments and we'll try and touch on some of them as well. Maybe spend 10 minutes on that. Just as I say, anything football related, it doesn't have to be Celtic. And take it as it's meant to be. It's no like self-indulgent where we know more. It's just a wee bit of difference to the show, trying to involve the viewers. So, as I say, get your comments in, and I'll start off in the first question that was sent in to Stephen earlier this afternoon. Let's see, I'll put this one to Jed. So it's Michael Mitchell, and he says, What was the point in Rodgers returning to the club if there is no real shift and change of direction / ambition? From a club / board perspective, is it only just to stay in front of Rangers? Anything else Europe-wise is a bonus?
Yeah, I mean, I was delighted when Rodgers came back, when you'd seen some of the candidates that were there. But I'll be honest, the last couple of weeks, from Saturday, like I say, I've just been in a mood. I'm beginning to question that Rodgers a wee bit, because the buck stops with him. Now, I'm hoping he's going to the board and saying, look, I've came here, you promised I would be getting this. You aren't providing that. No, you promised you'd give me A, B, C, D. You've only given me A. So what's happening? Again, we don't know how strong he's been. He will never come out in a press conference and say, well, I asked them for that and they've not done it for me. I know he said he wanted 4 quality signings, but then he's backtracking in that now as well. So is he another puppet? Is he just getting told what to say? I don't know. I really don't know. I thought he would have had a bit more about him when he came back, that he's going to be stand up to the board, but at this precise time, to me looking in, I don't think he is.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, for all the world, when Rodgers came in, I was of the train of thought, like probably everybody else, that he wasn't going to come back for the same as what he had the last time in terms of transfers and the amount he was getting to spend. And it looks on the face of it that is what's happening again. But again, it comes back to that transparency. You just want that. But I don't know. Is this another question, Franny? Oh no, it's not.
I think it was more just kind of.
I agree with what Pat's saying there.
What did he say? Was he promised, Jed? I feel he knows board Desmond, a friend of his, on quiet. I think he is at Rodgers, an aye man for them. I don't see Rodgers as a yes man, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's hard to. I really don't see it as that, but it's hard to argue against it on the evidence of what we've seen in these first 6 months of his tenure. But is there any comments, questions coming in for anybody on the comments, Franny?
Lanky's got one, but I think we need to talk on Paul McFarlane. Celtic's no excuses. We've brought in 4 in this window.
Aye, but we're only alone.
Have we?
Well, Jed, Gav.
Sorry. Aye, I'm going, how have Celtic brought in 4? That was me mishearing a thing again, like I did in that quiz the other night and made an arse of myself. But is there any questions coming in the comments, Franny?
I think it's kind of just sort of a wee bit on yours there. Lanky's asking, what was Brendan promised before he got the job?
Well, I mean, it's hard to answer that. It's only it's conjecture at the end of the day.
You probably surmise what it was promised.
It's a subjective one that everybody will have their own opinion, and it's nobody's right or wrong because we don't actually know. That's what I would say to that. But I'll read out another question that Stephen sent in the day. This one is for Alistair Jack, and I'll just put it to you, Franny. Do you think Brendan Rodgers will be our manager next season?
Well, funny
we'll put it to Ollie's. We'll put it to Ollie's, right? So we'll go you first.
Question that Fidel Sarvari.
There you go.
It's kind of, I suppose it's kind of elaborating on that a wee bit as well. Well, I would say it's got to have to take a lot, you would think, because he obviously said he would never walk again. And I appreciate you can take the words sometimes maybe with a pinch of salt, but have the board, I know there's some folk even maybe think because he said these things, because he walked the last time, then maybe look at going, well, can he walk again? And maybe that's why the board didn't back him as much. I've also seen folk on Twitter arguing now that they think he's maybe got to walk at the end of the season, so that's why he's not getting back in January. So for me, I think if he didn't get back to what he thinks in the summer, I think it could be. It might see out a season and not leave mid-season again, but it might be that he'll leave after the 2-year and no see out the 3-year. So I think if next summer and maybe certainly next summer, if he doesn't get back, I think he might see out that season so he doesn't go with maybe sort of in the manner they went the last time, how he left mid-season, if you like. I think he might see out that season, then go. And if it is because he's not been back, I hope he kind of comes out and chucks him under the bus.
Aye,
honest about it.
I would. For me, looking at it, I think that if he goes and wins the league, it doesn't have to be the Scottish Cup, but you would like that to happen, obviously. But I think if he goes and wins the league, I think he won't walk. But I think if then he goes and has another summer transfer window, possibly similar to the last, certainly if it's anything like this January one, then I don't think he walks, because I think he's sort of made a rod for his own back with what he said when he first came in, that he would be here for the 3 years and all the rest of it. But I think that if there's another poor transfer window where he feels he isn't being supported in the manner that he expects, then I think you could see a breakdown in the relationship and there'll be a parting of the ways. Similar to a wee bit like what happened with Wim Jansen. Obviously, he felt that they weren't on the same page as him, and I think he walked. It was close. It might have been close to near the start. In fact, I think it was right at the end of the season he won the league. I think there'll be a sort of breakdown between Board and Brendan Rodgers if he's treated in the same way again. And whether he'll walk or it'll be a sort of parting of the ways where both parties think it's best. I think that might happen, but fingers crossed that we win a League and Cup double and Rodgers remains in his position and is backed how we see fit and how he sees fit, and the board sort of marry up to his expectations. But Jed, just you come in on that as well.
First of all, I thought Robert put up a good comment there, and I've admitted myself about being negative. So I'll keep this brief. Rodgers will be here for next season if we win the league. If we don't win the league, Rodgers won't be here because the fans won't take it. I think it's that simple.
Aye. I think in simple terms, I would agree with that. Aye, absolutely. I think I think it's unthinkable for Brendan Rodgers to come back and not win the league. I don't see how he would recover for that. I agree with that. So, I think we're all in agreement that it boils down to whether he wins the league or not. But in terms of walking, I don't think, to answer the question that was in the comments, I don't think Rodgers will walk. I don't think it will come to that. I think it will need to be a mutual sort of both parties agreeing that it's time to go your separate ways. But is there any other questions coming in the comments, Franny, we can touch on?
Started on this one because it's taking it, well, it's depends on your age, I guess, but it's maybe taking it away from being Celtic. And what's your favourite Champions League final for Gavin?
Oh, any of you's got anything in mind straight off the bat?
Yeah, Barcelona beating Man United at Wembley.
See, I was thinking at that one as well, by the way, Jed.
If you remember the footage, the camera goes into the Man United dugout where you cut in all, and you can actually see Ferguson shaking because he knew he was up against something special and there was nothing they could do. That's when Barcelona were at their absolute peak, and to me that was a phenomenal final. And if you remember as well, Messi scored a crack. I'm sure he scored a cracker, a header as well in that game. For being, you don't associate Messi heading the ball, but he scored in that game a header.
And Man United were a right good side then, and Barcelona made them look like they just knew that they were too good for them. Listen, I can't disagree with that, but I'm not a Man United fan by any stretch. In fact, I really don't like them, but it always sticks in my mind that 99 final where they turned it on its head in the last minute. I remember where I was, what I was doing. It's just one of the ones that stick in the mind. So for me, it would probably need to be the '99 Champions League final where they beat Bayern Munich, and I've got a book in the house, Jamie Carragher's Greatest Games, and each chapter is on a game, and then once you've read the chapter, go into YouTube and watch the game, and then you see if you sort of agree with his analysis. It's a really good book, really good read. I urge people to go and get it if they're into reading, and it's just so football orientated, and he spoke about that game obviously at great length in his book, and it's a really good read. So I would urge people to go and read that, and certainly that chapter in particular. Brilliant final, that for me.
Yeah. And Ross, sorry, Frannis, somebody put up there before. Yep, I was actually thinking that myself. Bayern Munich were all over Man United that game.
They were,
Well, right. This is funny, right? This is funny, Jed, because Steven Gerrard, Jamie Carragher, in the book, he was adamant that it wasn't as much of a one-sided final as everybody remembers in your head, because Man United turned it on its head in the last minute. But he said, and I watched it back, and I agree with him to an extent. He knows better than me, but it wasn't as one-sided. Man United did do well in the game. Bayern Munich didn't make a lot of chances in the game. They scored early on, and they were very, not negative, but they defended well, and they didn't go and try and put Man U away as such and take the game to them. But I think in the end, Man U got their just rewards and turned it on its head, albeit it was late.
See that?
But aye.
Sorry, Banky's just popped up there about Real Madrid. Leverkusen, was that
the one at Hampden?
At Hampden, aye. Greatest goal ever, man.
That volley from outside.
Unbelievable goal.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. What about you, Franny?
Sorry for botting
I mean, that Bayern Munich one, Bayern Munich Man United one obviously sticks out Istanbul, but initially when I thought about it, I was the same game as Jed. Because Man United were brilliant at the round back, because I think still had, it was Rooney, Tevez and Ronaldo. I think still Ferdinand was maybe there. It still had a good core top players, and then obviously Barcelona, you had your Messi's, Pedro and that, and David Villa, players like that. The famous trio, Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets, Carlos, but it was just such a good final that Man U were a proper dominant team at that time, and Barcelona made them look, when they say they made them look a bad team, but they made really light work at a very, very good Man United team. And that kind of sticks out for me in that final.
Aye, and they played them in a stadium that was very familiar to Man U at that time as well. Exactly. And I mean, they had great players, and Barcelona passed them off the park. They were, it's probably that Barcelona team, probably the best club side I've ever seen in my lifetime. I think most people watching this and on this would agree with that. But we'll move on to another one. We'll not want to spend too much longer on this, but I'll get through the questions that people sent in, just out of respect for them taking the time to send them in. So this one comes from Dion. I'll just put it to you, Jed, again. What is your opinion on Celtic fans wanting pedigree signings?
Yeah, look, there's nothing wrong in wanting pedigree signings, but unfortunately we can't afford to get pedigree signings. If we go and spend, yes, we could spend £15 million on a player, but we couldn't afford his wages. That's the worry. I think over the last few weeks on the Monday night, the Friday night, various people have said it as well. Yeah, we could go and get the £9 million player, could do that no problem, and pay the wages of 40, 50 grand a week. But as soon as you go to 15 million, these people are looking for 70, 80 grand a week, and we ain't going to do that. Unfortunately. But as a fan base, there's nothing wrong in dreaming about getting players, but we've got to be realistic.
No. Absolutely, that's why you love football when you support your club. You dare to dream, but you have to, I agree with you, you have to be real as well at times. But Franny, this one comes from San Fran Celtic. He says, love the show, always a good laugh. Thinks his question might be a bit controversial. Couldn't get my head around how we cheered the bada off the park after a shite performance, then booed the team at full time. We shouldn't tiptoe around him. Or should we?
Well, I'm not going to pretend to be totally educated on what's going on there, but it can be great for the guy. He's still, 22-year-old, 21-year-old. It seems from the outside looking in that he's getting a lot of pressure certainly from the Israel head coach and maybe even teammates in the national team. Don't know if maybe political figures, family. He obviously have family over in the conflict that will have a certain view on what's happening over there. Might not be what everybody agrees with, but it's how they'll see it, how they're maybe getting the narrative spun in their way. For me, I'm always try to be on the side of keep politics out of football, because it's just keep politics out of sport and as general, because it's you can't please everybody. But I appreciate that sometimes it does come in. And in fairness, when it comes to Palestine, it's certainly when it comes to the Green Brigade, this is not a new thing. They've supported. Even when we were back, had season tickets. Ross, I can remember Palestinian flags there, and I know they do a lot of work, charitable work for it. So I think it's. I don't think it's right for me to tell a fan how they should react about a player or a team's performance. I'm not a big fan of booing the team, so I wouldn't be a big fan of booing an individual player. You can maybe be annoyed when he's had a bad game and maybe shout the old verbal and things like that, but I would never boo a player off the park. I don't. Certainly, what we've seen here, Bada coming back, I've never looked at him and thought he's not actually trying. I think he's always been given at least 100% when he's been since he's came back in. As I say, it can't be easy for the guy. I think to an extent we need to tiptoe around it, but I don't know what we want to do to the guy. You want to try and hound him out because he's of his really dissent and maybe doesn't agree with the Palestine thing. I think that's a bit dangerous waters if you want to do that. I really don't know what do you do with the guy. You can only show him support for the team, and as I say, I think. I don't. What you meant to do with the guy? You can't hound a guy out because of where he's born and what's going on with something that's totally out of his control. And I wouldn't agree with booing the guy for that.
Well, in terms of, I don't even think it's as deep as that. To be honest with you, right? Abada's substituted. He's had a poor game. Most of the players did. I don't think it would. The fact that they didn't boo him was because Celtic fans were tiptoeing round about him. I don't think Celtic fans are tiptoeing round about him. I think they're getting behind all the players as much as they can. Obviously, at the end of the game, they booed, whether that be directed at the board or whatever. But for me, any player that comes off, if they've had a bad game, I don't think an individual player, whether it's Abada or anybody else, would get booed. Obviously, as you alluded to, Franny, you shout verbals during the game at their performance, but when they're coming off the park, generally players get applauded and the player gets applauded on. So I don't think it's as deep as like going back to the Palestine stuff and tiptoeing round about him. I just think he was applauded off the field because he tried his hardest playing for Celtic, and you're not going to boo an individual player on the way off the park. And then you could argue that the boos at the full time were aimed at the board rather than the team. But people will draw their own conclusions to that. I just don't think it's as deep as the Palestine thing and tiptoeing around about Abada. But as I say, people will have their own opinion on all of that. That's just mine. We'll do. I think we've got one more. Was sent by Patrick McNally. I'll put it. We'll put it to Ollie as this one. It's a bit of a general one. So come to you first, Jed. List your most cringy football phrases.
Sorry, go and repeat that, Ross.
List your most cringy football phrases.
I'll
go first. Aye. Double pivot.
Aye.
Aye. The fans are the 12th man.
Aye.
Aye. What else?
Rangers are the same club.
What's that?
Rangers are the same club.
This game's a 6-pointer today. It's no, mate.
Aye. If you put you could put 2 goalkeepers in there, you're still not saving that.
Just let the net get that, son.
Aye.
Aye, there's a few. But listen, is there maybe one more non-Celtic related question for any of Franny, and then we'll move on for that?
No, really, but it's more a Dreamland one. It's Celtic related, but I suppose it's Dreamland if you want. It's parallel universe stuff.
Aye.
So if you,
It's actually a good question.
Paul McFarlane's obviously wrote and asking if you were given unlimited funds and could sign 3 top-level players for Celtic, who would it be? And I'm assuming it's obviously meaning current players.
Aye. For me, it would be possibly Alphonso Davies, maybe at Bayern. A right top keeper.
I would
Who's
go
a right
Ederson.
top keeper?
Ederson
I would probably go.
Just because he's younger than Alisson.
Aye, I'd probably go Alisson. Let's go Alisson, Alphonso Davies, and let's say Vinicius Junior. No, Mbappe.
Oh, by the way, there you go. Am I want a keeper now? I might want 2 guys up there.
Aye, I know. Just keep Hart and goals and just play Vinicius Junior and Mbappe. What about yourself, Jed?
Do you know, I'm at Mo Salah.
Phenomenal player.
And he's not even a superstar yet, but I think this guy is going to go places.
You've got
young boy Elliott that plays with Liverpool.
Oh, right.
He scored.
Harvey Elliott.
Honestly, I love watching that guy play. I think he's brilliant. And the goalkeeper, behind the Liverpool keeper or the Man City keeper for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bothered watching.
Right. That would be nice, eh?
I think I'm going to go Ederson, just simple. I think it's just to say I think Alisson's a better keeper, but younger. So if I'm living a parallel universe, I'm keeping him for a wee while. So I'm going Ederson. I'm taking Jude Bellingham. Taking him.
Aye.
And
you mean the comments?
I was go.
We've got
the money. We've got the money. Didn't steal the dream.
None of us have mentioned Haaland.
Well, I was going to, but then I like Mbappe. I just think he's the closest thing to R9 that we're ever going to see again. I think him. So that's me. So I'm going to Mbappe, Haaland, and Ederson.
Bellingham.
Bellingham, Ederson, and Mbappe.
Hey, I'm going to go Alisson, Rodri,
Davis.
and Mbappe.
Oh, it's changed.
Rodri and Mbappe.
Rodri's a great player.
He's class, man.
Spanish boy, yeah, definitely.
Aye. No, Joy, that was a good last question there. Aye, very good. We'll part that one. We'll probably bring that back. I don't know if it'll be next week or whatever. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and we can bring it back next week. I don't know who's due to host next week, but we'll see. But we'll move on. What's that?
Wednesday. We're at Hibs next Wednesday.
I think it's we're doing a post-match next
I think
week.
We're doing a post-match. You're right. I don't know who's due on, but after the Hibs game, you can tune in for that, guys. Hopefully. But we'll move on to the next feature. Another one that Gavin brought in last week and enjoyed it. And that is the On This Day. So on this day in 2005, Celtic signed Craig Bellamy on loan with an option to make it permanent. He scored 12. He had 12 appearances and scored 7 goals. The highlight being the opener at Ibrox in a 2-1 win. He scored in a Scottish Cup semi-final win against Hearts, the winner I think it was, and he scored an absolutely sublime hat-trick at Tannadice. 7 goals, finished the season, we didn't win the league. Franny touched on that season earlier on in his quickfire questions. We lost it in the last day at Fir Park, but Craig Bellamy, Jed, his time at Celtic and him as a player.
Oh, he was a quality player. I mean, if you think then we still had Hartson and Sutton, and one of the best goals I think he scored as well was, I'm sure it was against Aberdeen. The ball came out for the corner and he got it in the volley from away out. He was a great player. I must admit, I was disappointed we didn't get him. I mean, back to was it Newcastle we got him in loan from?
I think it was
Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointed we didn't get him because I really thought this is a player, and he was a bit of a nasty guy. You know, he didn't get on well with a lot of managers, especially as soon as I spoke about it, and he was definitely a player. Now, as Brendan Rodgers says now, that's a quality player. If you got that player in the now in loan, I think we'd all be over the moon. That he was a footballer.
Aye, if you're signing Craig Bellamy for Celtic now, you're having to take £50 million out your pocket, in my opinion. I think he was that good. Franny, Craig Bellamy, I mean, I don't know if you remember his hat-trick at Tannadice. It was unbelievable. The first goal, he picks it up out in the right-hand side, sort of just inside the angle of the box, and he fires one right across the keeper into the far top corner. Unbelievable strike. Second one, it was a through ball, and he's on the spin. He's hit it and like sort of chipped it, but like with power, and off the post far side. And then his final goal was a flick on, and he ran through, and he's just volleyed it past the keeper. I mean, talk about his time at Celtic. For me, I was a great admirer of Craig Bellamy, and I think this might be controversial. What's that for Paul? Loving the new Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. As I say, I was a great admirer of Craig Bellamy. Before he came to Celtic, I was delighted when we got him. In my opinion, and people might not agree with it, but I think if Craig Bellamy had stayed at Celtic for 7 seasons, we'd be talking about him in the same bracket as Henrik Larsson. Possibly even better. I think he was that good. His pace, his power, his finishing, he had all the attributes, and that's why he was a top player. And that's why when Man City were building for the future, they signed Craig Bellamy. He's a phenomenal player. But just talk about him as a player, and your thoughts on him as a player and his time at Celtic.
It was obviously back in 2005, you had more chance of getting that kind of level A player on loan. I think Jed touched on it. I think he had a quite public spat with Graham Souness, so maybe it was one of the ones that kind of the stars aligned. He wasn't got, like I said, top player, so he probably wasn't got to end up in the Premiership. And it being kind of the last day, it was easier to go to another team in the UK, and obviously Celtic.
I think he rejected a £6 million move to Birmingham to come to Celtic on loan.
Did he? There you go. But I absolutely hopped up like that goal against Rangers. When you see it for the sort of the angle of the post where it goes in, it just how far out the post and just bends back in.
Henry-esque.
It was brilliant. Like I say, if he'd stayed for 7 years, he would have scored a lot of goals. We would have spoken them in the same breath, I think, as Larsson. But for me, I don't. Bellamy was top, but Larsson for me was world class. I don't think Bellamy ever got to that level, but it was a very, very good. I mean, you make a good point about Man City when they were coming up. They went and got him because they knew he could perform. He was a top player. I just think maybe attitude-wise, probably stopped him getting to the very, very top. But
I would agree with that.
I think if we had paid, ironically enough, paid the money back then, we would have had a really good player in our hands for a few years. Because I think, what I can remember, I think he wanted to stay and we knew what we had to pay. Maybe wages. I don't what wages been an issue then. Probably not.
It was
so much.
a stumbling block in the end, I think.
Was it?
Aye.
But Craig Bellamy. He was great for that 6 months, and I know that the season didn't exactly end well, but I enjoyed having Craig Bellamy here. And I just remember, I think one of the good things is it did they drag on. It felt like you were never ever keeping him, and that's what I think. I just kind of enjoyed him when I was here. He just kind of got the feeling this guy's not going to be here. He knows he's better in this league.
That's it, and it's similar. Like we got guys for the Premier League at that time on loans, and they were just quality, as in Craig Bellamy. Even the little time that Ramon Vega spent at Celtic, I think he was a
Somebody
phenomenal
mentioned
player.
that earlier.
Yeah,
said about Keane, Ramon Vega, and Bellamy are 3 best loan signings.
Aye, these are and by the way, these are quality players, right? That were proven Premier League players, and they came up here to Celtic and they done well. Robbie Keane, prolific goal scorer, done well. Craig Bellamy, prolific goal scorer, done well. And in both occasions, we failed to win the league.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Madness,
But, aye, mental. But I mean, we should never have lost that league title that season, Jed. That was to go to Ibrox and win. Go 2 points clear, was it? With 2 or 3 games to go.
I know, and then am I right in saying, I'm just trying to get flashbacks. Did Bellamy not miss a good few chances at Motherwell that game?
I think he did.
Did we not play start that game with Bellamy, Hearts, and Sutton?
I think so. Aye. What was the deal with Larson at that time? Was he injured?
He was away.
Oh, so he was, aye. Because I was trying to see when I was watching the clips there, I'm trying to work out and saying, where was Larson? You're right enough, Jed, aye.
And then, obviously, the cup final was Mark O'Neill's
last game,
final game.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew before that. I think it was announced the day before the final. Strachan would be coming in as the new manager.
Aye, that's right. Aye, but listen, he got a Scottish Cup under his belt. He probably he should have had a league title. That was 2 league titles out of 5. Just evaded Martin O'Neill and no more. It should have been 5 in a row, to be perfectly honest with you. And Rangers snatched a couple of leagues, but that is what it was. But Craig Bellamy, as we say, what a player he was, and it's that level of player that we can only dream about getting on loan for the English Premier League now, because football has changed, certainly for Celtic, dramatically in the transfer market. But well, part of that was a nice. I like that on this day. I think that's going to be quite an interesting one, because you don't know what you're going to get until that very day. See, when you're like sort of try to plan for hosting the show and that, it's quite interesting, because there's other things come up. Obviously, there's more than one thing happens on this day, so you've got a choice. Sometimes other days there's maybe nothing, but it's really interesting, and it's good to reminisce, especially on guys like Craig Bellamy. But we'll move on to our ball bag and baller of the week. So Franny, I'll come to you first. Your ball bag. I never thought I would ever say that sentence to you.
The ball bag of the week. David Turnbull, just for his cameo on Saturday, man. It was horrendous. It was absolutely terrible. And it's a guy I've kind of stuck up for a bit since we've done this podcast. But on Saturday, I never like to question guys' commitment, but he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but that park on Saturday.
Aye. And Jed, your ball bag of the week?
Again, I'm not going to give it to a player. I'm going to give it to the surface at Parkhead. The park of the now is an absolute joke. So that's getting it. Aye.
Well, my ball bag of the week, I think it has to only go to one person only, and that's the guy that missed 2 penalty kicks. Like Palmer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good shout.
But just come back to you, Franny, on your baller of the week.
A wee bit a curveball, maybe cheating. I'm going Jurgen Klopp after just sort of a wee special mate after him saying he's got to leave at the end of the season. Just What the guys to stick at a top club for 9 seasons and not get the sack. That's some gone. So I'm chucking Klopp in there.
Fair enough. And by the way, I meant to say, if any of the guys are firing their thoughts into the comments, just bring it up. Jed, your baller of the week? Brendan Rodgers for his interview. It's a fair point.
I think that's Ballbag. I think that's Ballbag.
No, like I said,
aye.
Like I said earlier, Ross, I think because I've been Mr. Negative, I've even put that in the WhatsApp group this week. I've just been so negative. I'm not even got a ball of the week. I was actually giving myself ball back in the week because of the moaning.
Ball of the week, Ross, for hosting. Oh, you're far too kind, Bob.
Yeah, good job. Well, I'll go with that one.
my baller of the week, I'm going to give it to the Ross County keeper, George Alexander Wickens. I thought he had a really good game. Albeit Celtic weren't great. I think when he was asked to make saves, he made them.
Yep.
2 penalties. And he looked a decent keeper. I'm not saying go and get him, Celtic, by any stretch, but he had a good game on the day for me. There might be, obviously, guys that deserve baller of the week more than him in a wider scope, but I was just kind of going off Celtic. I'll get to that guy. But is there any more coming in for Ballbag or baller of the week, Franny? I like your Jurgen Klopp one, by the way. That's quite good.
Well, I think a lot of them are still on the Ballbag, and it's like Palma and things like that.
Aye, Palma, Robert Davey, Palma.
Punishment Nugget says you're a Ballbag, not a baller.
As nice as Paul McFarlane's comment was, that was horrible.
The board are getting some stick for being. They're a strong nomination for Ballbag of the week. The board and
aye. Well, it's probably, we'll say a 40 finish between the board and Louis Palma, and we'll move on to the next part, which is I'm really looking forward to this, but actually I think this will be quite a decent wee debate. So it's the agree to disagree. Jed, do you know how this works, the agree to disagree?
I think so, yeah. We'll soon find out.
Well, we'll just outline it again because we've done it on the show before, but we've obviously might have some new viewers. So what I'll do is I'll put a question to the guys, and they either agree, strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree with whatever the question is. So I've got 3 of them. Very interesting ones, and we actually touched upon this Champions League final earlier on, so it wasn't planned. It's quite fitting. Or not the Champions League final, but this team. So the first one, Jed, I'll ask you your thoughts first on it, and then come to Franny. So the Man U 99 Champions League winners were a better team than the 08 winners. Do you agree, disagree?
Agree.
I
was trying to think who the 08 who was in the team.
Mm-hmm.
Rooney fans.
I looked at the 2 squads, and there's not much in it. But for me, I would agree. I think the 99 team is slightly better. Franny?
I think I'm going to go with the 99 team as well. I think so. But I mean, that 08 team, like Rooney, I think he's one of the most underrated English players ever. Like, I don't think they really proper Wayne Rooney. Like, I obviously got a lot of hype, but I don't think he got appreciated as good as how he actually was.
I actually think he could have been even better had it not been for some injuries. He missed a lot of the big tournaments that he might well have been the difference in them for England getting that wee bit far. I'm not saying win it, but they might have got that wee bit further. But a phenomenal player. But I think the general consensus in the comments is that they all agree with that, Franny. I thought there would have been a slight bit more debate on that, but by the way, there's nothing in it, but I think they edge it. So we'll do the next one. Franny, I'll come to you first. Agree or disagree? This is one that I really enjoy this debate. I've spoke at length for years on this, and it really gets people's backs up, and people get right into it. So I think it's going to probably split opinion on this, possibly. So, Franny, you agree or disagree? Steven Gerrard was a better all-round midfielder than Paul Scholes.
I would say aye. I would say I agree. Because Paul Scholes was shite at tackling. And it's pretty much just kind of on that, I would have to say.
Mhm.
And because I think obviously as both careers went on, they both sort of naturally dropped deeper in that also because the pace and maybe just the energy to get round about the park wasn't there. But Gerrard, for me, had everything. He didn't play in as good teams as Paul Scholes, which you could maybe argue then should say, well, Paul Scholes was clearly the better player. But I think what Gerrard managed to do that season when they won in Istanbul, it just felt like he dragged them to that tournament. You think that before they actually qualified for the group stage proper, he obviously scored in virtually the last kick of the ball to get them actually into the group stages. I think that year against Olympiacos or Panathinaikos, I want to say, at Anfield. I think it was a third goal or something.
It was Olympiacos.
So
yeah,
I just
beauty.
I just think what he done for Liverpool, when you kind of compare it, I mean, obviously Paul Scholes obviously won more, but I just think it's an all-round player. I have to go Gerrard, and I can kind of confidently say it a wee bit now because he's not Rangers anymore.
Listen, for me, it's Gerrard. I've always made the case that the tackling, like you said, I think Gerrard's shooting and that wasn't much in it. I think Gerrard edged it in the shooting. Paul Scholes probably maybe just edged it in the sort of long balls, but Gerrard was phenomenal at that. But I think the reason I go Gerrard mostly is because people make the case that Paul Scholes won more trophies, but he was playing in a better Man United team. I don't think Paul Scholes leads Liverpool to the trophy haul that Steven Gerrard did. I don't think he's got that leadership in him. That's why Gerrard gets the vote for me. But Jed, what about yourself on that?
Well, I know Franny said that the Scholes couldn't tackle. I think he knew what he was doing all along.
Book me.
I'm going to go Scholes. Scholes was phenomenal. Scholes was unbelievable. By the way, Gerrard was fantastic. Look at the goal he scored at the Millennium Stadium in the FA Cup final against West Ham.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen an unbelievable goal.
I mean, he was a poor Liverpool team at the time, where, as you said, Scholes had a good players round about him, but just to be different, I'm going to go Scholes.
But listen, I had a feeling you were going to pick Scholes. I just think that you like that type of player a bit more than the dynamis, Gerrard. But listen, it's a debate. Everybody's got an opinion on it, and I wouldn't say nobody's right or wrong, but that's just my feeling on it. I think Gerrard was better, and I think what's the general consensus in the comments, Franny?
It's pretty much 50-50, mate. It's 50-50 of everybody that picks Scholes is having a wee dig at Gerrard, but then there's folk that can see it and just saying Gerrard is good.
He was until Gerrard went to Rangers and turned out to be a prick. He was one of probably my favourite English Premier League player after Thierry Henry. I think he was phenomenal. But we'll move on to the next one. And sorry, stitching Franny up a wee bit here. I think he knows what's going to come. But I'll come to you first, Jed. Agree or disagree? Alessandro Del Piero was a better player than Francesco Totti.
No, Del Piero was a better player. So I agree.
It's not even like a big discussion. I just want to stitch Franny up because you think it's Totti, don't you silly cookie?
It's similar to what
your case.
Similar to Gerrard and Scholes thing. He played in didn't play in as good a team. Managed to win a Scudetto for them. Didn't really do much else, to be honest. Whereas I think Del Piero won the Champions League. Obviously won quite a few things domestically at Juve. Won the World Cup. He never won the World Cup. I think he might have won the Euros. Maybe he won the World Cup.
Win the World Cup. He won the World Cup.
There you go. They've both got that.
Yeah. So did Del Piero.
I think it was one of
the winning goal.
Obviously, me and you growing up, Jed would have been the same, being able to watch, obviously, the Italian football on Channel 4 and that. You know, so AC Milan was a team that I kind of always followed back then. And Juve, well, I just never ever really liked Juventus. And then Roma always kind of had a wee bit of a soft spot. I think it was, well, Paul Burnley, he always kind of liked Roma as well. So it was one of them. And we just always loved Totti. Me and him always loved Totti. Don't think Del Piero's but Del Piero is an absolute world-class player. But I've just always liked Totti, mate. And it was...
Aye. I get that, but you made the point there saying that it's similar to Scholes and Gerrard. It's nothing like Scholes and Gerrard because there's a debate to be had there. There isn't here. Del Piero was better, and totally different class. What are we thinking? What's the folks saying in the comments? Most of them have to be Del Piero, surely.
Yep.
Aye, but that's
Del Piero get Ballon d'Or as well.
Totti, did he?
No, Del Piero, I think.
Del Piero. Was he not Ballon d'Or?
Aye, I think he was. Mind he curled the free kick in for the corner of the box over Andy Gorham.
He done it against us as well, did he? On that
done it against us, aye, but he scored a beauty against Rangers. I think they beat them about 4 or 5-0 earlier. That was nice. He gets my vote. But listen, that's that section done. Nice wee debate there. A wee bit veering off of Celtic, just for a bit of sort of diversity. But we'll move on. We're bringing in a new feature to this podcast on a Wednesday night. I think it was Wally's idea. So we've decided that similar to what we do with the Super 6, but we're going to do like an SPL predictor just amongst the guys on the actual podcast. Now, if any of the viewers want to join in, keep tabs on their own scores. The way we're going to work it is similar to the Super 6, so that if you get a correct score, i.e. if you say Celtic are going to beat Aberdeen 2-0 on Saturday, and that's what the score is, you get 5 points. But if it ends up 2-1 to Celtic, you've guessed that Celtic are the winning team, so you get 2 points. So you can keep tabs on your own score. But we've all done our predictions for this weekend. Stephen kindly done graphics to bring them up on the screen, so if my glamorous assistant can help me out here, since I don't have the stuff on my end to do it.
You just need to tell me who you want first.
Just whatever one, it doesn't matter, whatever one comes up.
Right, there's Stephen's prediction.
So there we've got Stephen with his snowy puffer jacket on. Look at him, he's looking well, isn't he?
He's picked a good picture for himself.
He looks like he's seen something in the distance that is absolutely disgusting.
Is he he's not.
I don't know. He doesn't look too enamoured with whatever he's looking at, though. But aye. So his predictions: he's got Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1. Get in the bin, Stephen, along with your jacket. Dundee 1, Hearts 2. Hibernian 3, St Mirren 1. Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 1. Rangers 5, Livingston 0. Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1. I think he's Jimmy Bell in disguise with they scores. Moving on to the next one, we've got William here. I don't know what Stephen's done with that picture. He's absolutely stitched him up because Willie looks nothing like that. No, man, it's just he's stitched him up with that. Like, he looks nothing like that. But Willie has went Aberdeen 0, Celtic 2, Dundee 2, Hearts 3, Hibs 2, St Mirren 2, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 2, Rangers 2, Livingston 0, and Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1.
Ross when he auditioned for the Peaky Blinders.
In the suit. Look at that, eh? I look like Sam Allardyce standing picking something in the chippy, but I'm wearing I've just came for a wedding and the meal was shite. I've went Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2, Dundee 1, Hearts 1, Hibs 1, St Mirren 2, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1, Rangers 4, Martindale's lying down Livingston 0, and Ross County 1, St Johnstone 0. Anthony, oh wow, train spotting.
Oh, Jesus.
After that, the game was mine, eh? Aberdeen 0, Celtic 3, Dundee 1, Hearts 2, Hibs 3, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 0, Rangers 1, Livingston 1, Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1. There he is, the boy. Oh, look at you. Look at your wee fancy hairdo. That's nice. Aberdeen, Franny's went Aberdeen 0, Celtic 2, Dundee 1, Hearts 2, Hibernian 2, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 2, Rangers 4, Livingston 0. I think that's the same as me, Franny. And Ross County 1, St Johnstone 0. And now on to the new members. We've got Gavin, who is sadly missing a hand, but that's something we didn't know about him. But he's went Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2, Dundee 1, Hearts 2, Hibs 1, St Mirren 0, Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 1, Rangers 1, Livingston 0, and Ross County 2, St Johnstone 1. And then we've got James. He's probably slating the board in that photo. I can see it. Aberdeen 2, Celtic 3, Dundee 1, Hearts 2, Hibs 1, St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 1, Rangers 3, Livingston 0, and Ross County 0, St Johnstone 1. That's a 6-pointer at the bottom, innit? And we've got the other Anthony. I've got no jokes for that one. I can't think of. But he's went Aberdeen 1, Celtic 3, Dundee 0, Hearts 2, Hibs 2, St Mirren 3, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1, Rangers 2, Livingston 0, and Ross County 1, St Johnstone 3. Is that it? Oh, we've got Jedi.
By the way,
Look
he's
at
just
that,
going to pick up some diploma or something, or some award. Or some
Aye,
award.
No, he's doing that out my Twitter.
Aye. But what were you doing? What were you doing that day, Jed? Winning at life, aye.
My brother Brian's wedding.
Oh, you're looking very dapper, I have to say. And Jed has went Aberdeen 0, Celtic 2, Dundee 1, Hearts 3, Hibs 1, St Mirren 2, Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 2, Rangers 4, Livingston 0, Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1. Is that everybody? Aye. And that concludes the results for Saturday. But aye, listen, it's just a wee bit of fun. We'll see how we go. I think we're going to try. I don't know who's going to deal with it. It'll certainly not be me because I am not the tech guy. But what we're going to do is we'll obviously keep a points tally, everybody, and do like a table and bring it up similar to the Super 6 every week. And then we'll run it for now until the end of the season, and then obviously restart like a league format again and run it for the whole season. The
Well
photo
done,
of
Paul,
Anthony
that's
looks
brilliant.
like a Rangers
That's good, by the
way. Superb. But aye, that's the idea. We'll keep a note of it and bring a league table up. We'll run it for now at the end of the season, and then we'll restart it, obviously, if it goes all right for into next season, and hopefully run it for the whole of next season on the Wednesday double pivot show. But we'll move on. We're going to look ahead to the Aberdeen game. So before we get into that, while we're chatting about that, we'll just do a wee brief chat on it. But while we're doing that, if the guys have got any answers that they want to fire into the comments now for the...
I'll just 1 minute. 1 minute.
Aye, no bore, Jed. As I was saying, if they want to fire their answers in for the trivia quiz question, we're going to reveal the answers after this brief chat in the Aberdeen game. So get them in so they're easy for Franny to access when we come to that point. Go for that now, guys. I'll just come to you first, Franny, while Jed's away. A wee brief look ahead to the Aberdeen game. And your lineup predictions, just how you think the game's going to go on Saturday. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's a big game, a tough game. Aberdeen have just lost. They've just not lost. They've sacked Barry Robson. For all the world, the Aberdeen fans look to be wanting Neil Lennon in, but that remains to be seen whether that'll happen. But what do you think? How do you think the game's going to go on Saturday and your lineup?
Just before the day, Robert Davey, you're probably right. He said, I bet Stephen will do that on the bookies and come in and gloat about it. Which I think means he's won one with Celtic and
Sorry
Aberdeen.
about that, guys.
No, you're all right. It's
No,
the type
thank
thing
you.
Stephen will do, by the way.
Aye.
But I think I'm looking forward to it. It's weird, Ross, because if you'd asked me maybe yesterday about this game, I've probably got to give a different answer. It's obviously Aberdeen's just sacked their manager. You just didn't know what team you're going to get now at the weekend. So if you'd asked me this question yesterday, as poor as we were last Saturday, I'd have probably been more confident than I am now, just simply because Aberdeen just aren't great at all now. But the fact that they've sacked their manager, you didn't know how a team's got to react on the back of that. I still think, obviously, we made a prediction before that, but I don't think it will change it. I still think we'll go up there and win. It might not be as comfortable as maybe I would have expected. As I say, as even as soon as yesterday, just simply because they've just sacked their manager. But my lineup, I think the back five picks itself with Joe Hart. I think Alistair Johnson. Well, it'll be Narovki. I'm assuming CCV's out. And Scales with Taylor at left back, midfield
Taylor
again.
Aye,
left back.
No.
So that's so. I think Taylor is it, isn't he?
Yeah,
yes, he was 2 or 3 games. He was due to be. But Jed,
he'll miss the next.
So it'll be unless they bring in somebody tomorrow, then it's got to be Bernabeu. The midfield field will be McGregor, Bernardo, O'Reilly. And I think, could maybe come in for Palma? I don't know. I think he'll stick with Palma, Abada and Kyogo, mate. I don't think there'll be any major surprises unless we bring in maybe a left back or whatever between the now and the morrow. I don't think there'll be any surprises really.
Mm-hmm. Aye, that's fair enough. What was it you put in your score predictor for the result?
2-0.
2-0. And what about yourself, Jed? Just a brief, obviously, how you think the game's going to go and your lineup prediction.
I think, I still fancy us to win 2-0. The reason being because the base office will be a hell of a lot better than Parkhead at the moment. And Arsenal have a really good record up Aberdeen. So I'm quite confident. Even though I thought we were poor at the weekend, I'm confident we're going to win up there. I think the lineup will be the exact same as it was on Saturday, unless we get somebody in. Remember how they used to come up in the video printer, a trialist scores. If we get a trialist in, that's it. But I think he'll start with the exact same team that played against Ross County.
Mm-hmm. I can't really argue with that. What was it they scored? What score did you say in your predictor?
2-0.
2-0. Aye.
Yeah.
I think I said 2-1. I think I said. Aye, it was 2-1. I can't argue with the idea that they'll probably go with the same team. I'm going to mix it up a wee bit. I don't think this will hurt them. Would I do it? I would maybe try it to see. I'm going to say Hart and goals. A back three, Alistair Johnson, CCV will be injured, I would imagine. So Johnston, Navarroke and Scales. And then midfield, McGregor, O'Reilly, Bernardo, Kuhn in the left, Abada in the right, and Kyle go up top with Palma just playing in behind him, just off him. I would maybe trial that. I think Palma could do well playing off of Kyle, maybe through the middle. But then if we get this Norwich guy in, he might go with something different again. I don't know. That's just an idea. I don't think he'll do that, but it's a possible option that he could do. But finally, we're going to move back on to the trivia question. Keep these all in suspense. I'll reveal the answer first, Franny, but I'll let you guys have a wee go at it, see what you think. I'll just come to you first, Jed. See how many.
Sorry, I've only got two.
Well, what's your...
Rudiger, for whatever reason, the guy went from Chelsea to Real Madrid.
He's not on the list.
And Balak.
Balak is on the list. Yep,
Right,
that's fair enough. Franny, what about you?
Right, so I had Balak,
Uh-huh.
Sane.
Yep.
Go about him.
I didn't think so. I went Shurla at Chelsea. Is it Andrew
Well
Shurla?
done. Really good.
Here's what just at that era is Robert Huth.
Well done. Google Meister.
I know.
I'm only joking.
Gundogan, surely he's one.
Yep.
And
You've only got one to get.
Well, I nearly put Klopp in because I thought it was a curveball. I could think.
Uh-huh.
I was between the only other two Germans. Apart, I'd thought of Rudiger, but I was like, he's fairly recent, and Chelsea haven't won the league recently.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only other German players I could think of were Per Mertesacker and Jens Lehmann, and I lumped for Lehmann. And I didn't think he won the league today.
Aye, he did.
Did he? Oh, yes.
Aye.
Mr. Good.
Right. Well done, Franny. 6 out of 6. And what about the guys in the comments? How has MD got 6 out of 6 or 5 out of 6?
Well,
Gavin.
He's guessed 6. Gavin's got 3 of them then, hasn't he?
Gundogan, Sané,
Right,
Aye.
and
Balak, Lehmann.
Hey guys, with the transfer window still being open, maybe Fran will get taken over to a German podcast with the knowledge.
No way. Bloody, I'm very impressed. I didn't think you would have got all 6. Like
Eric Dyer.
Oh man, how bad was that, eh? Eric Dyer's, Alistair Jack, Huth, Lehmann, Sané, Gundogan, Balak. He's got 5 there that I can see.
Just try to see. That's everybody that's guessed.
So you're the only one that got 6 out of 6. Decent effort, Franny. I trust that you didn't cheat.
I honestly didn't think Lehmann had won, and I didn't think Lehmann had won the league for Arsenal. There you go.
Aye, well, he must have just no long been in. It must have been like his first season, and then that was when they started to tail off Arsenal. But listen, he was on the list. You done well, and I hope he's enjoyed that wee trivia. Again, I think that's something that we'll be bringing to the Wednesday show more often than not. But that sort of concludes the show for the night. Have you enjoyed it, boys?
It's good. I'm enjoying these Wednesday ones, just a wee bit different and stuff. It's a wee bit different.
Aye. Well, that's the idea that we're all going for, eh? That's what we had in our head. Bring in the Wednesday show, but you don't want it to be monotonous and go over the same things that we do on a normal podcast. So we're trying to do that as we go on. Obviously, it's in its infancy, but as we go on, we'll bring different features to it, and hopefully it'll grow and get a wee bit better. What's this? Who's this snatch? Look at Franny's face, red as a beetroot. Cheating, maybe. Listen, I know Franny well. I know when he's lying, and he's fucking lying. Nah, listen, but just a wee bit of housekeeping. Just want to say thanks to obviously all the viewers for taking part in the night and sticking with us. We're at 1 hour and 43 minutes as it stands, but if you like what you saw the night, give the video a wee like, and if you haven't already, then subscribe to the channel, and we appreciate each and every one of you, and thanks again for, as I say, sticking with us, and on that note, I'll sign us out with the famous-ish line. Stay well, keep safe, hail hail.